These are initial thoughts, mainly non-spoiler, to episode 2. I will do more in-depth breakdowns and theorizing on the episode, but that will be up ahead. So what did I think initially about this? Well, overwhelmingly, I was very, very pleased and pleasantly surprised because I thought they were going to still drag some of the storylines and plot lines a little further, but no, they answered a huge amount of questions. So one of the major criticisms I had with episode 1, it was kind of uneven with Dolores and Willie, the men in black, receiving probably the most attention and their storyline seemed the most intriguing. They really corrected here. Like almost every single character has a very rich history attached, very interesting motivations. Of course, there are a lot of mysteries, but it's pretty surprising. Within the time, they accomplished quite a lot. We have the Man in Black doing what he does, which is kill people, but through interestingly various different methods, not just one. We get a little bit more on the nanotechnology that the Man in Black used in episode 1. You still have questions like, what is this? How's it happening? We see it more in use. There's more explanations from Charlotte, and Charlotte divulges more of her plan and what she thinks she's up to, and what Maeve and Caleb are going to do to counter her. And their scenes were also very well done in terms of like this very dry humor that Maeve has at making fun of Caleb and him double checking on his family to see that they're safe. So everything felt pretty strong and pretty good. Probably ironically, the one weak note here was Dolores. That's not to say it's a bad story. It's just probably the weakest one because, again, to me, Maya, the roommate, who, if you double check on the IMDb, does not have a name, but apparently they call her Maya. So does she have a name? Is it an imaginary name? Unclear. But the way Maya is continually manipulating this version of Dolores is very intriguing. Though it kind of just ended up in a dead end as Dolores investigates Peter, who I think is named after her father, the man who committed suicide, and her decidedly creepy boss who's apparently keeping track of her and even track of her location. I might speculate this is like a sexual thing that he's just obsessed with her, but he really is disrespectful. So is he just a controlling person? I speculated that they're in I speculated that they're in one of the theme parks, but again, this world looks pretty full. I mean, she's going to a different state from New York. So if this is a fantasy theme park, it's insanely large. But there's a twist at the end of this episode which may answer that question that yes, the theme parks are still operating, but they're being reorganized in a certain way. So perhaps, as ridiculous as it sounds, this all could still be a theme park or perhaps a virtual reality. It's just insanely large. Well, we're going to have to wait and see with the next episode as more answers are forthcoming. So overall, I'm going to give this an incredibly high score because it was really well done and quite an improvement over the first episode, 8.45. However, I want to be cautious because if you have seen Westworld in its other seasons, other episodes, it has tended to start strong, even have strong conclusions, but the middle portions are fairly disappointing. So it could be, once again, they have a really good, strong start, but it's going to start to peak. I hope not. They've definitely really rekindled my interest because there is some time skipping to warn people. So there is some of the old tricks that they play around with the timeline and people's memories with flashbacks. But this episode is fairly comprehensible. There's really not that many what if moments. There's a lot of moments you can understand. So this is fairly, for Westworld, linear. It's understandable. There are some mysteries, especially with Clementine, who we see at the beginning, and you wonder when she shows up later, is this the same Clementine? She appears to be very different. So, still some question marks, but not annoying ones. I will end with some criticisms, though, that these episodes do mirror The Matrix a lot, especially Matrix Resurrections. That's probably unavoidable once they had this video game storyline and put Dolores in it. That, yeah, her being a developer was going to mirror what happened with Neo. And it's not fully stealing the storyline, it's a very strong parallel. There's also a lot of Fight Club again being used, and I don't find it annoying, but I thought they kind of maxed that out with season 3, but they're revisiting Fight Club. In fact, one scene was pretty close to just stealing entirely for Fight Club. I didn't find it annoying. I was just like, oh, okay, interesting. And even a lot of the Peacemaker, once the central twist is given, you're like, oh, this is like what they did with Peacemaker on the in the DC universe. So, interesting. So, if you wanted Westworld to be much more original, it's going to be a little disappointing. I think most fans are okay with let's get back to some conventionality with the narrative form. So, I liked it for the most part. I think it holds up, but again, we'll have to see if the future episodes retcon this stuff or this is the new continuity and they're going to work with the restrictions they sort of play down because the nanotech being introduced seems insanely powerful, but it's still experimental. So it's not as easy as you think it is that because if this is true and Dolores is as powerful as ever, what's going to really stop Charlotte? Final moments let you know that no, this conspiracy has a lot of weaknesses and hopefully that'll be exploited by Maeve and Caleb. On a final note, again, I'm not doing this politically. I did find it a little weird that Caleb was just, frankly, very underwhelming physically. He just seemed to go down too fast. He's a fighter, so he wasn't like pathetic, but I just felt that him being off guard while Maeve was super competent in fighting a little strange. I wonder why he's not able to get back into the groove as well as she was. I mean, granted, she's more used to being hunted, but that felt weird that he just was so shocked that when he's being attacked. I'm like, really? Haven't you been down this road before? So who knows? Maybe they've been playing with his memories. We'll have to wait and see. But their rapport was really good, and I do think that they are setting a kind of romance between Maeve and Caleb. But I will get to that in the more thorough breakdown. Thank you for listening.